Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Influencer Show, where I interview people who can help influence the way you live life in a number of ways. I'm your host, T7, and today we have a very special guest with us, Linwood Mann. And would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and let them learn a little bit about you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Linwood Mann. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you to T7, Trayshawn, for inviting me. And I want to thank all of your listeners out there, giving me the opportunity to share this positive message with them and with whoever else is out there in the audience as well. Like I said, my name is Linwood Mann, and I am the creator and visionary of OGRD, which is Omminni Group Research and Development. And we create cryptocurrency platforms and payment gateways for the future. And for those of you who don't know what cryptocurrency is a cryptographic means of value. Right now, there's a lot of stuff out there that you may recognize, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Some of you may know the next tier down, a Litecoin or Zcash or Dash, a Monero, something like that. But yes, we're moving into a digital currency, and cryptocurrency is going to lead the way.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for coming on the show. So I'd like you to share with the listeners why you do what you do.
That's a very good, still philosophical question. The most succinct response is to create value for others. My whole entire life, I have worked. I have worked for companies in the past that created value for others, and it was a very good example, a power of example for me. So that when I got the entrepreneurial bug and went out on my own a couple of years ago, is that was in the forefront of my mind, is actually creating value for others with the products that I create.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now I'd like you to share with the listeners once again what you would say has been the biggest influence on you that you wish you had known sooner.
The biggest influence on me that I definitely wish I would have known sooner, but that I've felt my whole entire life, is grace. Because grace allows me to focus on others and other ways to create other ways for dynamic solutions. And the dynamic solutions that grace allows us is through humility and love of connecting with others. I'm able to impact their lives by creating these payment gateways and these payment solutions, so that your money will work for you. Instead of you working for your money, your money in the future is going to start working for you.
That's really great. Thank you so much. I hope you listeners have gained some golden nuggets from what Linwood has said so far. So how do you prefer to influence others to change the way they live life for the better?
Trey, thank you for this question. This is one of my favorite parts of life, and I believe it should be part of any new conversation, and that is by listening. It's by allowing others to share their stories and their insights with you, and it's an integral part of any interaction that I have. Is I want to ask you questions about you. I want to get to know you better, because by getting to know you better and your audience better, I'm able to create the value in my products to match you and your lifestyle and what's going on directly with you. So definitely it would be listening to others, because I can't learn with my mouth open and my ears closed, but I can learn all day long with my mouth closed and my ears open.
Oh, that's very good. Very. So how do you prefer to? So what would you say people should do to stay motivated in a time of crisis like now?
First off, I would like to say that I'm praying for all of those people that are out there that are affected by this horrific virus. And I know that there's a lot of families out there that are struggling, and I want them to stay strong and stay resilient, and let them know that help and healing is on the way. As we've seen in the numbers here in the United States, I'm sure in other parts of the world as well, that the curve is starting to flatten, that staying at home and staying healthy is keeping everyone healthy. So I just want to let everybody know that, that they are in my prayers and my family's prayers as well. To stay motivated during these times, I would suggest momentum. Motivation is a great word to use and to throw out there. Motivation is great, but there's not a lot of momentum in the word motivation. Action, improving yourself. I ask in this time of crisis, it's a perfect time to build on yourself, to accentuate positive. If you're already found skills, or techniques that work for you, to continue to accentuate the positive and stay strong in building those. If you haven't, is to look inside yourself, or reach out to something that you've always wanted to do, and build on yourself. Find a new skill set, find a new technique that works for you, and build on yourself in this time. Momentum, love in action is momentum. We can act our way into right thinking, but it's really hard to think our way into right acting. So definitely action, momentum. Do something new.
That is great. Thank you so much for sharing. I hope you listeners are definitely picking up on what Linwood has to say. So, what is your passion and end goals?
Oh, passion and end goals. That's I thought that was a tough one. I took a while to really look at that. Because I have passion, and for me, goals aren't the end. Once you achieve goals, you set new goals. So I say what my goals are today, but they're not my end goals. So but to start, I would say bringing value to everyone's life. To connect with them, to influence them, is a passion of mine. Definitely a passion of mine. I'm a people person. I'm an extrovert. I like to reach out, open a communication with anyone about any subject. Like I said before, being that listener, in people's lives, because that's what people want from a connection, from a valued relationship, is they want somebody who will listen. But as for goals right now, the number one goal is to bring value and freedom through cryptocurrency to people, because money has been a struggle in people's lives, throughout the world. There are people that have, I believe the numbers still hold true. I knew that they did 4 years ago when I did the research, is that there are more people on the planet with cell phones than with shoes. There are more people on the planet with cell phones than with toilets and running water, because we are so attached to communication nowadays. Like I was saying, people want other people to listen to them, and but definitely it's to bring value and freedom through cryptocurrency. If all of your money can be on your phone, and everyone has a phone, because that's going to be the bank of the future, is your phone.
Definitely.
And if it's going to be the bank of the future and it's yours and it's always within arm's reach, all of your money should be on it and should be safe and secure. You should be free to spend your money how you want to spend your money and when you want to spend your money. Number two is to increase that purchasing power that you're going to have with your money and your phone, you being your own bank, to increase that purchasing power by rewarding everyone for their everyday transactions. If you're going down to the shop to buy milk or bread, that transaction should reward you. If you're going to the movie theater with your family and out to dinner, that transaction should reward you. You shouldn't have to pay a fee or a tax for that. Or the fees and the tax that are paid are covered by the currency that you're using. And 3 is to connect, energize, and build on the relationships that I have today so that we can have a bigger and brighter future.
Oh, that's very, very inspirational. So let's say that you had a megaphone and you could say one thing to the world that would have a lasting influence on the world. What would it be and why?
Grow. Be smart about it, but grow. Organize your time. Schedule your time. Find something that you're passionate about and write it down. Set a goal for it. Write it down. Step by step. Be as precise as you can as possible for those steps.
Yes.
So that your action that you're taking to grow into the goal that you're looking to achieve is organized in your mind. And each and every day, if you accomplish something on that list, cross it out and add something else to the bottom of the list as you get closer to that goal. But definitely, if I had a megaphone, it would be to grow into every aspect of your life, to grow physically, to grow emotionally, to grow mentally, to grow financially, but most of all, to grow spiritually. Because if you grow spiritually, then the world will provide for you the growth in all those other aspects.
Yes, and I think that's one thing that people often overlook because they often search for it outwards, and it's as within, then so without. And also when it comes to setting goals, I would just, as Linwood said, just keep them specific and clear so they become attainable and near. So let's say, what advice would you give to those who had their very own £1 million idea at a time like this?
It would definitely be to stay focused, to stay resilient, because only by being resilient are you going to achieve that goal. If you don't achieve that goal at first, don't change the goal, change the direction that you're going towards that goal, because goal achievement isn't a straight line. It's a zigzag in life. You run into an obstacle, one obstacle you have to go around, one obstacle you have to go over, but the obstacles are going to be there. You're not going to get to your goal without any obstacles. If not, your goal wasn't big enough. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find ways around those obstacles or over those obstacles. But keep going. Be resilient. The only way that you don't make it to that £1 million idea is if you stop. Successful people do 2 things. They find out what they want, and then they don't stop until they get
it. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. So what is the biggest issue or problem that you are aiming to solve as an influencer in your own industry?
It would definitely be the merchant consumer accept and blockchain technology, because cryptocurrency has created a stepping stone from one financial institution, which is the fiat paper money and coin, into a digital world. It's created that, but it hasn't solved that merchant to consumer acceptance, because the banks can accept it, the institutional lenders can accept the blockchain, but until merchants and consumers accept it on a day-to-day basis for the transaction, the solution that we at OGRD have come up with until that it is accepted, then then we're stuck moving from one financial institution into the other. So that's what we're looking to do is solve that problem, and merchant to consumer acceptance is the last bridge to cross for cryptocurrency.
That is great, and I wish you all the best with it. So now I'd like you to share with the listeners what you would say has been that pivotal point along your journey and what it taught you.
The most pivotal point along my journey has been failing forward to success. And the reason I say that is because there's been 2 platforms and teams that I've been involved with in the last 3 years, right? And both of them have gone by the wayside, right? But I am still here and I am still moving forward because only success will allow me to change and reset my goals, right? Failure is just another step forward to success, And I also want to say that in failing forward to success, it's very vital that you have someone there that loves you and encourages you, is firm but is kind in doing so, and it helps to continue to have a connection and create a product for the masses that do those 2 things, that encourage people to use it, right, and is firm and fair in the transaction of using the currency. So just one breeds the other. Family, friends, really just stand by you, but having that one person next to you, that is a constant source of encouragement and a constant source of love is vital to achieving your goals. I've heard it say in the past that 1 is too small of a number for substantial and sustainable growth. You can't do it on your own.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone needs someone.
Right.
So what are the top 3 lessons that you have learned along your journey, and how did they influence the way that you look at life?
The top 3 are definitely, they were there all the time and they were influencing me throughout my journey before I even became an entrepreneur. And that's humility, taking, not, working hard, but knowing your place and knowing your value and knowing that you're focused on bringing value to others, but reaching inside yourself and staying humble, and knowing your role. But humility, transparency, being honest and open, taking responsibility and accountability, being transparent with what you're doing, as well as, and the biggest one is resiliency. Again, it's just don't stop, as long as you're continuing to move forward, as long as you have love in action and your action is impacting others in a positive way and bringing value to them, continue to move forward and be resilient in your life.
I 100% agree with that. And let's say that you had to be another person for one day. Who would it be and why?
It would definitely be one of the many brave professionals that are out there fighting this horrific virus. Because of their commitment to being courageous in the face of this, for the empathy that they show day in and day out, for the faith that they show not only in science but in their own faith. I've seen many times where doctors and nurses will be standing around in a circle in a hospital and praying before their shift, where God's grace and scientific fact come hand in hand in fighting, and kindness. Definitely kindness. You know, they continue to go in, you know, and share their caring spirit and their kindness, not only with the patients, but with the family, you know, with the families of the victims as well. And their perseverance and their tenacity, you know, is every single day going back. You know, I've heard from career nurses, emergency room nurses and professionals, you know, how when this virus first started and they first got overwhelmed, they were thinking about changing their careers, you know, but the love and the kindness and the empathy, you know, that we as a society poured onto them and the positive mindset that we gave them, you know, they're still standing there. They're still persevering. You know, they're still showing their tenacity and showing up every day and helping to cure this disease.
That is great. Thank you so much for sharing. What are your views on the word legacy, and what legacy would you like to leave? Sorry.
That's okay. First, I like to start with thinking about others and not about myself. Because a lot of legacy is left, and you remember that person's name, right, for 50 years or 100 years, you know. And you know, I've heard, if you want to feed yourself for a year, grow wheat. If you want to feed yourself for 10 years, grow trees. If you want to feed the world for 100 years, grow people. So it's very important that I don't think about myself and a legacy, that I think about others, and I continue to provide the resources, not only for my children and my children's children, but I continue to provide resources for everyone's children and the children that are to come behind them. You know, is that the product that I'm building, you know, is a legacy product. It's not about me. It's about providing value down the road for people, for people's grandchildren, you know, so that they can use this product as well.
Definitely, I definitely agree with all of what you're saying. It's absolutely amazing. So is there anything that you've done in the past, and now looking back on it, you may have wished that you have done it differently, or maybe even done it sooner?
Yeah, I think the greatest blessing about the past is that we learn so much from it. You know, is that it's priceless information to help us to serve others. You know, as even if it's mistakes that we made, you know, we can share it with others and say, no, you don't want to do that because this is what happened, you know. And it's not just what happened to me, it's what happened to several individuals, you know. So definitely all of the information that we have in the past is priceless information, and that priceless information is going to help us to serve others in the future. And serving others and staying humble while we're doing it is the most important part about that, is bringing that information from the past into the future in a way that's with humility and empathy for what someone is going through, so that you're bringing them up out of whatever situation that they're in.
That is a very key thing as well, because I was talking to someone earlier today, and we were talking about how confidence and arrogance, and how people often get and misconceive the definition, get caught up in between, and they're not sure which one's confidence, which one's arrogance, and they often get a mixture of the two, and that often limits their success. So it's good to stay open-minded and just open to learning new ways in life, really. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
Advice that I would give to my younger self. I would say to save more. Is you know, that's one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, is saving, is that you should be the best steward of what of what our Creator has given you, not only money wise but resources wise. Is to save more. Be wise with what you're given. Because wisdom and understanding and knowledge you can store up inside of you as well. It isn't something that you have to pour out constantly on a daily basis. And that's one thing that definitely probably the first thing that I would tell my younger self, is to seek more wisdom and understanding, and to save that wisdom and understanding as well. The second one, I think Kobe Bryant said it the best. And one of the interviews that he had, and they asked him about his basketball career. They asked him, "What do you wish you would have done more of?" Right? And he said, "Stretch." Definitely. No, but I mean, I turned 50 years old this year, and that's one thing that I find, as you get older, is it's very important to stretch. Sometimes you're in school, they'll have you stretch before you do something and then stretch after you do it, so that you cool down well, right? It's very important. There's a reason that they do that, but yeah, definitely is stretch. And the final thing is enjoy life. Enjoy life to the fullest. Go and go out on spiritual retreats. Go and do something exciting with your money financially. Buy the big house if that's what you want. Buy a horse if that's what you want. But yes, go out and enjoy life. Go on adventures. Build great relationships. Establish a business. Celebrate other people's achievements. Go out and definitely enjoy life to the fullest.
Thanks so much for sharing. And that actually reminded me of something, because when, like, for example, when people often think about inheriting things and things like that, they often think of it in monetary terms or either property. And there's actually many things that you can inherit. For example, it could be wisdom, it could be knowledge, and there's just many different forms, different avenues as to how an inheritance can be passed down. And that often keeps people closed-minded, because they think, oh, it's not money, oh, it's not property, oh, never mind. But then that wisdom and knowledge that could have been gathered over so many centuries and things like that. And it's just about using everything that you have available to you, and all your resources. That way you can maximize not only results but also growth.
Right. They've said, there's been studies done, and they've said that that going forward in business in the 21st century, that the most valuable resource for human resources, right, will be emotional stability.
Definitely.
Companies will be looking at employees and testing and evaluating for emotional stability, just because of everything that we have been through in our lives, in the last 20 or 30 years, from 9/11 and different wars and attacks and diseases and everything, but emotional stability will be a huge precursor for hiring someone in the 21st century.
Definitely. And another one on top of that as well, they often look about people who are able to have conversation with different age groups as well, because yes, it's one thing to have all that knowledge and all the PhDs and everything, but if you're not able to create that sense of customer service and be able to talk to people of all different backgrounds, different age groups and different places around the world, then there's no point in actually having you, because you won't be able to create success for what they are trying to accomplish, really.
Right. You're too closed in. You're in a box this big.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't want to see the box anymore.
Yeah.
They want to see the person.
Yeah. Lastly, could you share some advice with those people who may be starting something new and they are starting to give up?
Yeah, definitely. I have to disclose a little secret here. There was a reason that I asked for this interview to be today, April 17th. April 17th is a very special day in the history of sports. Today is the 111th anniversary of the longest boxing match in history. And April 17th, 1909, Joe Jeanette fought Sam McVeigh in Paris, France, and it went 50 rounds. Yes, that's 49 plus 1. 50 rounds it went, and that shows the answer for your question. That shows resiliency on both parts. But the most resilient was the man who won. Joe Jeanette got knocked down 27 times that night and got back to his feet and stood up with his hands in front of him, with his gloves up. And at the end of the 49th round, when they sat on their stools and the bell rang for the 50th round, Sam McVeigh did not get up. He quit. So if I can share anything, it's to be resilient. Do not stop. Continue to get to your feet and continue to fight. If you have a goal, you're going to reach it. Remember, successful people do two things. They know what they want and they don't stop until they get it. So it's be resilient.
Thank you so much for sharing, and I hope that you listeners have gained so many golden nuggets as a result of listening to Linwood today. We have really enjoyed our conversation, and once again, thank you so much, Linwood, for accepting the invitation to join the Influencer Show today, and also thank you so much to you guys for listening.
Yeah, I want to say definitely thank you for inviting me and having me. I had a great, I want to share with your listeners as well. I want to thank all of them for being out there and for listening. And, I hope that at the end of the day that, that each and every one of you gain something from this podcast and from this interview. It was definitely a pleasure coming up.
And also, for those of you who would like to have the chance to be featured on the Influencer Show, be sure to email the email that's going to be popping up on the screen. That way I can send you the application process to see if you could have the chance to be on the Influencer Show. So once again, thank you so much to you guys for listening, and thank you so much to you guys for listening, and thank you to Linwood Mann for being on the interview today, and hope to see you guys soon. Bye.